Hey you guys, welcome back to Life After Neverland. We want to talk to you today about Supernatural. You know I love Supernatural, yo, and I think you do too, or you wouldn't be tuning in. This episode is episode 5 in season 15, and it was Proverbs 17:3. Yeah, and I really like this episode. I feel like each episode is building up to the game plan for the entire season, and I feel like we've had a lot of foreshadowing in this episode. So before we get started talking about the episode, I wanted to say thank you to our new subscribers. We got a few of you, and you guys are awesome. Thank you for commenting on our posts. And some of you guys had mentioned about our Disney experience, and so I wanted to just post a picture real quick of Sean and I as Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter, just to give you a little bit of a seed. In the future, we will post some footage from us back in our performing days. Some of you guys asked if we could fill you in, and what's better than us to actually show you footage, especially when we were in Japan. If you've never been to Japan, that'll be a fun thing for you guys to see. All right, so thanks again for subscribing. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let your friends know about Life After Neverland. We are former Disney performers, as I said before, and this is just us having a good time and growing up. All right, so Supernatural. This episode, I liked it a lot. I feel like it's much better than prior. You start off with these 3 young ladies, and they're camping together, and all of a sudden, one of the girls steps out. I think she heard a noise, and she gets maimed, and it didn't sound good. It sounded like she just got eaten up and literally destroyed. And one of the other girls, I mean, obviously she's not okay. She's sitting there going, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Yeah, no, it didn't sound like she was okay. It sounded like she was brutally murdered. But somebody's got to shut the tent. She goes up to zip that tent very, very carefully, and boom, she's ripped from the tent and never to be seen again. So here we have a case for Sam and Dean. Now, they've been putting in, this seems to be a little bit of a trend, I think, that they're starting, where they show the murder, and then you see Sam and Dean just being their normal selves. And here we have Dean again eating something, and this time he's eating a ghost pepper jerky. And it's really funny little section in there just to make you giggle. And Sam's like, "Yeah, Dean, I don't think you should be eating that." And of course, Dean doesn't listen to him because he's like, "You know what, I can handle this." He sticks it in his mouth, starts eating it. And then there's this little thing that they do where Sam's like, "Oh, you got some water from the store? Let me take that water." And Dean's kind of like doing the Dean thing, like blah, 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 trying to like kick the jerky out of his mouth. And then of course he wants the water. And then there's a little comedic moment with Jensen. And Jensen is hilarious. And I'm not even just saying that because obviously I think Jensen is adorable, and a lot of girls are like, "Oh, Dean, so am I." But Jensen really is a good comedic actor. His comedic timing is perfect. His facial expressions are awesome. I really like the actor Jensen, first and foremost. And the way he plays Dean is just perfection. He's my favorite when he's Dean. He's so good at being Dean. Does anyone agree with me here? That scene was great. And those little Dean-isms, obviously, like I said before, is one of the things that makes Dean and Supernatural in itself very endearing. The kind of banter between Sam and Dean is always something that I truly love. Okay, moving on to some serious stuff. You also see that Sam is texting Castiel, and Castiel is not responding back. And I think I was looking at the text because I paused it, and it doesn't seem as though Sam is fully aware that Castiel was pushed aside and chose to also leave because of the tension between him and Dean. So he doesn't really know that just yet. Also, we have an opportunity to see Sam having another dream where he is basically burning Dean alive. And so what is up with this? We know that somehow, some way, here in the end, the brothers are going to battle each other for one final time this season. I mean, they're always kind of going against each other, whether they're a heavenly angel or they're an evil demon. So what's going to happen here? So Sam and Dean end up going to Colorado to meet this young lady, Ashley, who was the sole survivor of the 3 young ladies in the camping situation where the 2 girls got maimed and destroyed. And they seem to have thought it was a mountain lion, but this young lady named Ashley is like, yeah, to the no. This was a man, he had fangs. He ended up letting her go, which is highly suspicious. Sam and Dean have their wildlife gear, super cute, and they have their old ID badges, so they bring that back as shiz and giggles, if you know what I mean. And they keep playing that card with Dean being like he basically doesn't look exactly the same, but I'm going to agree with Dean. I think he has either aged like a fine wine or he looks almost exactly the same. Maybe a few wrinkles here and there, but like I said, he ages like a fine wine. So what's the big deal here? I think Sam's the one that looks the most different, to be perfectly honest. And that's my opinion. What do you guys think? I feel like Sam has changed a lot. I mean, especially from season 1, right guys? He has. So the boys head over to these 2 dudes' house named Andy and Josh. Now Josh is one prickly you-know-what, and not friendly, not nice, and his brother Andy seems to be quite vulnerable. Apparently their father died and they are werewolves because Sam, after interrogation, tried to hand them a piece of paper with a silver pen and asked if they could get their phone number so they could call them to get some more information if needed, and they didn't want to do it, which was the first clue that they 100% are werewolves. But anyways, the rest of the episode kind of deals with Andy and Josh and the turmoil between those 2 brothers, where Josh is all about killing humans and getting human hearts, and Andy has a moral issue with that and isn't having it, and so they're conflicted with each other. Then you have Ashley. Sam and Dean are trying to protect her, and they take her to this hotel, and Ashley asks Dean to stay with her while she falls asleep because she's scared. And they have this deep conversation. She asks Dean if he likes his job, and you know, I feel like Dean feels like in another lifetime he could do some really fun and amazing things, but he has grasped his role in this world, and that is to save people. And in that sense, I guess he does get happiness when he truly is saving people in the end. But I know that Dean is truly tortured because I feel like he doesn't really feel like his life amounts to a whole lot when Chuck is the one playing all of the cards, making all of the stories, and basically using Sam and Dean as puppets. And that's kind of what I get from this. And ultimately, Ashley says, and I wrote it down because I don't want to mess it up, she says, wouldn't it be great if everything was planned out for you and already decided? And at that point, you kind of see where Dean's like, yeah, not so much. And it kind of brings him back to thinking about Chuck. I feel very confident about that. I can only imagine what it would be like to be living your life and having to go through all the different things that Sam and Dean have to go through and trying to save people, but knowing that ultimately the choices that you make aren't truly your own. And not only that, but I do feel like Dean feels a bit helpless in the sense that no matter what obstacle they face, no matter how many monsters they kill and people that they end up saving, God is always going to come into play and throw a wrench into everything that they do. So ultimately, like Dean has said before, he just wants a win. And I don't feel like he truly feels like he's ever going to get that win. So now is when things start really heating up, okay? So Ashley ends up missing. Dean falls asleep and Ashley, boop, is gone. And Dean's like, how the heck did I just fall asleep? They end up heading over to Andy and Josh's place, and she screams, little Miss Ashley. She's all tied up. They have her, in captive. And a fight ensues. You have Andy and Sam fighting, and you have Dean and Josh fighting. And the fight between Josh and Dean is actually quite funny. Dean grabs these antlers off the wall and hits him with it, and it literally just breaks. And I love, again, like I said, with the comedic timing with Jensen, he just kind of looks at it really funny in the middle of fighting. Just watch Jensen's facial expressions. Obviously, if you're a Jensen and, a fan of his, you will know what I'm talking about. So that fight was really interesting. And ultimately, the brother is shot by Andy. And then Andy ends up killing himself, sacrificing himself. And I think that's interesting because it's very similar to Billy in the last episode. You know, Billy was like, okay, he was fine with Sam and Dean lopping his head off because he knew he was a nuisance to society, and Andy also had a conscience as well. And that was interesting, and it was cool to see Sam and Dean were kind of like, what just happened? You know, and then it gets even better from here. So Ashley is ultimately saved at this point. She starts walking towards Dean. Dean grabs her arm. She says, "Don't touch me." She falls backward and lands on the antlers. What a brutal death. And like, Sam and Dean are like, what? What just happened? You know, then she opens up her eyes while she's stabbed here, laying on the ground with the antlers sticking out of her, and she wakes up. Lo and behold, she is Lilith. She's Lilith. I thought this was great. I absolutely loved this. I was personally surprised. Probably some of you guys were not surprised. Please let me know down below if this shocked you. Did you like this scene also? I loved this scene. I thought it was great. I thought Sam and Dean were both showing the ultimate, like, WTF. First of all, WTF that the one brother shot the other brother. Then Andy basically shot himself with a silver bullet. Then Ashley falls and dies after they saved her. And then she turns into Lilith. What? Or she is Lilith. What? That was epic. And the young lady who plays Lilith is absolutely gorgeous. And they did such a great job with casting because she has such a little angelic face. She looks precious. And she is extremely evil and full of herself and extremely strong. Lilith is so strong. Loved that. Absolutely loved it. What did you guys think about that? So moving forward, Lilith is basically pulled back from the empty. God brought her back in order to be rescued, seduce Dean, and get the gun back. The one that Dean calls the equalizer, in which Lilith thinks is ridiculous. So Dean, being as bold as he is, he says, "I have the gun. If you want it, come with me. I'll give it to you." She's like, "What if you're lying?" And he says, "Well, if I'm lying, then you can kill me." So off they go to get the gun back so God can have that. Now, obviously, Dean is blowing up her you-know-what. You know what I'm saying? Prior to this conversation and Dean being privy to this information, of course, Sam and Dean wanted to attack Lilith once they figured out it was her. And she is so powerful. She just like, boop, and they go flying across the room. So at this point, while Dean is conversing with Lilith, Sam is knocked out. And he's having a vision. And his vision has flipped this time. And it is now Dean that is trying to kill Sam. And he is a demon. They're showing the mark of Cain. And he has his Cain knife, whatever you want to call it, and weapon. And he stabs Sam. So Sam has a reverse vision this go around. As Dean is in the car with Lilith and they reach the destination to get the equalizer, Lilith basically spills the beans about God to Dean and basically saying that God is obsessed with Dean. And he's also obsessed with making sure that the two brothers basically go against each other in the end and fight to the death, which is the parallel between the two werewolf brothers. And Dean is really intrigued by what she's saying. You can tell he's listening like, seriously? You know, now what are we going to do? That type of thing. So once they get to the location, Sam ends up coming in because Lilith, you know, they always kind of save the day at the very last minute here, and that's exactly what happens. Lilith is giving Dean 1,000 slow cuts, so he dies a slow death. Because, of course, he's fighting her. He was fibbing. He's not going to give her the equalizer. But at the last minute, here comes Sam to save the day. And he has this devil trap bullet. He shoots her right here in the head. Unfortunately, all it does is stop her in her tracks for just a little bit for them to get away. Not that far, maybe like 5 or 6 steps. The bullet goes out of her head and off she goes after Sam and Dean. She traps them. So in wrapping, Lilith ends up figuring out that they have the gun inside the glove compartment of Baby. She ends up burning it. Ultimately, the gun is destroyed, so Lilith's mission at that point in time is done, over, finito. You see Sam and Dean discussing at the end of the episode, and Sam ends up learning what God's ultimate plan is by Dean. That the two brothers are going to be going against each other and one of them is going to have to die. And so at this point now, Sam decides, you know what, I better just go ahead and tell Dean all about my dreams. And we are left with these questions. Will they be on the hamster wheel until the end of time? How are they going to fight God without this gun? Because at this point in time, they feel that that is the only way that they can take God down. And what I think is the coolest part about the very ending of Supernatural is that Sam and Dean are fighting the ultimate villain at this point, and it's God. Who would have thunk that? I didn't. In the very beginning of Supernatural Season 1, would you ever have thought that Sam and Dean would end their story fighting God? What do you guys think about that? Did you enjoy this episode? Which episode has been your favorite thus far? Please let me know. And in the meantime, you guys, have a blessed day. I'm going to tune out. Sayonara. Check in with you soon. I'm going to watch episode 6 so we can talk about it. But God bless you all. Please hit the subscribe button and comment below. Bye, everyone.